When it comes to building wealth, the rich invest very differently for most people. Just recently, the Red River Trust linked to Bill Gates bought 2,100 acres of potato farmland from North Dakota, and that is drawing outrage from the locals. People are upset that their land is being poached by the wealthy, and this has prompted an investigation into why so much farmland is being hoarded away. The world's fourth richest man, the founder of Microsoft, is now the largest private owner of farmland, amassing over 250,000 acres. In fact, it isn't just Bill alone who's literally stockpiling these precious resources and buying up the lifeblood of America. Jeff Bezos himself owns over 400,000 acres of land, while John Malone, also known as the billionaire cable cowboy, possesses over 2 million acres of his own. In fact, it's more than twice the size of Rhode Island. So why are the rich suddenly gobbling up farmland and buying hard assets like gold, while the rest of the world is either in stocks or trying to go to the moon with cryptocurrencies? Do they know something that we don't? And in this video, I really want to peel back layers and dive deep into why wealthy families and billionaires are buying up farmland, gold, and even water. Because remember the big agenda of the Great Reset. You will own nothing and be happy, but something is off when it seems that the elites aren't practicing what they preach. They are actively trying to own the world. But more importantly, we will discuss how this will affect you and what you can do to even the playing field. But first, we need to understand the true value of hard assets. We now live in a world where intrinsic value is becoming untethered from reality, and people today are more interested in chasing ideas in the clouds because it sounds smarter and the returns can be phenomenal. And that is why during the last 10 years, we have seen new assets like Bitcoin go from $1 to over 60 grand, Tesla fly from $5 a share to over 1,200, even though valuations just make no sense. The rich, however, are not looking to blindly invest, and they understand the equation of risk and reward. If an asset class can 10x in price in a year, it can also fall by 90% or potentially become worthless down the road. They are looking for assets that hold value first and foremost, assets that will always have demand and, more importantly, are free from the current financial system, and that is key. We know that the dollar and all fiat currencies are dying, they're losing their purchasing power year after year. With an environment of low interest rates and money printing, many investments today are just overpriced and asset bubbles are starting to pop. Now, people with wealth know this, and that is why they are diversifying away to hard assets that can't be debased and have intrinsic value. Now, farmland, water, and gold are three of the most overlooked asset classes that have near zero coverage mainstream. They are off the radar of most people, but eventually people will run towards them. Remember, a Netflix subscription is optional, but food and water isn't. Henry Kissinger had a famous quote: control oil and you control nations, control food and you control people. And that is why the rush towards these assets will only continue. The rich wants to control the building blocks of life in society for thousands of years. It has always been land, water, and gold. Now, since ancient times, land has represented power. English lords allowed their peasants to stay and work on the land in return for 10% of what they produce. Think of it as a tax on the peasants or a dividend for the landowners. And the same thing is happening today. And this is one key reason why the rich love farmland, because it represents much more than just preservation of value. When you own farmland, it goes beyond just providing stable appreciation with low volatility. It provides a very important income stream that will always have demand, and we are talking about food. Now, we are fast approaching an era where food shortages are just going to increase and nations are finding it harder and harder to feed themselves. And that means eventually American farmland will become more valuable as America locally will need to produce their own food and become more self-sufficient. In fact, while population growth is increasing, the amount of arable land per person is falling, and this is a big problem. Now, billionaires understand this, and they know that if they control the farmland, they can build the ultimate subscription service where you will come back month after month to buy from them, and the product is food. Now, when times become tough, especially today when we are experiencing stagflation, where wages aren't growing fast enough and inflation is still sky high, we can cut off all discretionary spending except for food. And that is why land is the ultimate investment for the years and decades to come. Now, even if they themselves don't farm the land, they can always lease it to a growing wave of farmers who will rush towards working the land as food security becomes more important. In 2020, the average cropland value in California was almost $13,000 an acre, and you could rent it out for around $440 a year. Now that's a 3.4% dividend for an asset that will only continue to go up. Understand that whether the land is cultivated or not, the landowner is sitting on a gold mine. Even if they do nothing, they will enjoy capital appreciation. Over the last 11 years, the average cost of cropland grew from around $2,700 an acre to over $4,400. That's a 5% compounded return every single year. And if you add in rental income, it outclasses every single asset with an astounding 11% annual return. And even if food demand happens to drop, landowners can always pivot to installing solar panels on their farms to generate electricity to either use themselves or sell back to the grid. It's just that flexible. But as a landowner, you also gain ownership of another precious resource, and that is water rights. If there's one thing we can all agree on is our need for water to survive. The world needs fresh water to drink, water to grow crops, and water to run heavy industries. There's no compromise. Without water, society will crumble. Now, the world's 71% water, but a shocking 2 billion people have poor access to it, and the situation will only get worse. Now, the big challenge with water today is that it's not evenly accessible or distributed, and the rich are recognizing the issue for what it is, a chance to make more money and a chance to build more wealth. We are talking about billionaire tycoons, big international banks, and hedge funds that are all rushing in. Now, Goldman Sachs called water the petroleum of the next century, while Citibank believes water will become the single most important physical commodity asset class in the world. And to gain access to this resource, the wealthy are aggressively buying up access to really control it. Now, billionaires including Li Ka-shing and T. Boone Pickett have been buying thousands of acres of land that give them control over aquifers, lakes, and most importantly, water rights. And the most important of all are riparian rights that give landowners access to and usage of rivers, streams, and even the groundwater beneath the land. So if you control the land, you can control the water, and if you control the water, you can control farming and the water needs of the community. And if there's a way to monetize anything, corporations and Wall Street will find a way. Nestle is doing just that in California. Just in 2020, the company extracted around 50 million gallons of water to fuel their portfolio of water brands, and this is just going on in other states as well, such as Michigan, where Nestle are landowners as well. Now, T. Boone Pickens, the water baron himself, owns more water rights than any other individual. His company, Mesa Water, owns water permits for over 200,000 acres of land, granting access to over 65 billion gallons of water a year. Now, the price of water will no doubt continue to rise, and we can see that the prices have been increasing on average 5% a year since 2010, and will only continue to soar as inflation and water scarcity gets worse. And this trend of the wealthy buying up water companies is just going to accelerate. We are talking about desalination plants, water filtration companies, and water distribution services. As the demand for food explodes, we will see the demand for water stay high, and farmland leases that provide access to water will just continue to climb. For the rich, farmland and water are great assets. They are inflation-proof and not correlated with traditional investments, including stocks and bonds. However, they have a big drawback. They are fixed investments and they aren't mobile, and that is why the rich are also hoarding physical gold, a time-tested store of value that is truly portable wealth. Now, the problem with farmland and water rights is how illiquid they can be. A typical farmland purchase can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months to conclude, and a lot can change during that period. The government can buy away your land when you don't want to sell, and the amount of compensation you get might not be a fair price for your investment. And that is the challenge with such assets. It's hard to exit and take with you at such a short notice, especially during these troubling times. And that is why the rich are also hoarding tons of physical gold to hold their wealth. Now, gold is one of those mystical asset classes that many people don't fully understand. Yes, it is a hedge against inflation. It has been proven to hold value even during deflationary periods, but I would argue that the most important quality gold has today is that it removes counterparty risk. If there's anything the recent sanctions of Russia has taught us, is that if your money is tied up in the financial system, you don't fully own it. Electronic funds can get frozen by nations, and people can even lose access to their bank accounts through no fault of their own. And if there's one thing that the ultra-rich fear the most, is losing access to their money, which is truly a representation of your hard work, your time spent toiling away, and the amount of risk you took to pursue wealth. And gold is one asset that just solves this. It is one asset class where there is a global agreement over the millennia that it is true money and is accepted across borders no matter where you are. We have central banks stockpiling gold as part of their reserves. People love wearing gold because it is just so beautiful, and industries use it because of its unique physical properties. And for the rich, gold is no one's liability. It carries zero credit risk, and it accounts for all the bad monetary policy decisions being made today and all this crazy money printing that's afflicting the world. Now we can see that every time money was printed, gold accounts for it and jumps up in price because it is truly the dollar that's getting devalued. Like farmland, there is a finite amount of gold that can be mined, and it will take time and effort to mine it. Sure, you can't eat gold, but every time there is trade and a need to store wealth for long periods of time, gold fulfills these needs. And that is why it is not uncommon to see the ultra-rich build up their gold reserves while simultaneously acquiring more farmland. Farmland provides a stable return and extra income, while gold provides a classical hedge against inflation and is portable wealth that can't be easily confiscated. Understanding how the rich invest is essential on our journey to build lasting wealth. We want to grow what we have for sure, but we also don't want to lose it in one wrong gamble. Now, Einstein said that 8 wonders of the world is compound interest, and the rich are playing the game of modest gains, compounding year after year in sectors where they know demand will be strong. So how do you get in on the action? When it comes to farmland, the most immediate way is to buy a few acres yourselves. Cropland values are rising fast and you're looking at easily over $4,000 an acre today. However, you need to have expert knowledge to select and really acquire the farm and then lease it out to the farmers for yield. Now, many of us just don't have the time or knowledge to do so. Instead, a more direct way to gain exposure is to buy farmland REITs that allows you to gain the upside of owning farmland without spending money or time managing or operating it. Now, there are two REITs in particular that you can invest in: Gladstone Land and Farmland Partners, right? Gladstone concentrates more on specialty crops including fruits, vegetables and nuts, while Farmland Partners focuses more on primary crops like grain and wheat. Now, when it comes to water, it gets trickier, but not impossible. Owning water rights will mean owning land, and you probably need to be a multi-millionaire already to make it worth your while. But you can gain exposure to water without being Bill Gates or Michael Burry. There are water ETFs such as CGW that allows you to buy into water companies that acquire, purify, and distribute water to communities and farmers. Finally, the best way to invest in gold is the straightforward way of just buying gold coins or gold bars. You can easily pick up a single ounce of gold like this here today for around $1,800 from any bullion dealer or coin store and immediately get in the game. Sure, there are ETFs such as GLD or PHYS that allows you to track the price of gold, but that really defeats the purpose of owning gold. You want real private wealth in your hands that's outside the financial system and within immediate reach, right? Physical gold allows you to immediately liquidate it in the event you need money urgently, but you just somehow can't access your bank account or stock portfolio. We have to see the signs that we are now moving away from the intangible to the tangible, and big money is starting to flood into real assets including farmland and gold. The ultra-rich and billionaire class are seeing this inevitable shift towards hard assets, and they realize that it aligns with their long-term beliefs of holding investments of real intrinsic value that appreciates over long periods of time while producing products that people need. Now, with land, you own a stable store of value that produces crops that can feed the world while also capturing the water rights below it. By investing in water, you can capitalize on a world that's growing more thirsty with each passing year. And with gold, you are hoarding a time-tested store of value that is the most liquid asset around that's preserved purchasing power for thousands of years. And this means as the prices of our essentials such as food and water continue to go up and the value of the dollar continues to go down, the rich will only continue to get richer. So let me know what you think. Are you looking to buy some farmland and get into the action? Are you moving away from paper dollars and hoarding more gold? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to understand how to better protect your money and become your own central bank, be sure to check out our video at the top right hand corner to learn more. Stay safe, and if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for more videos as we navigate through this economic insanity. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon.